The opinions, views, and conclusions expressed in this show are those of the show host and co-host and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of KPFV FM or its affiliates.
The Andy Alberti Show is here for you with the hot topics of the week. Don't miss it. For a good time, call 775-990-4900 and join the show Thursday at 5 p.m. And here we are back at the Andy Alberti Show. Today is Thursday, and if you've tuned in to us on Thursday, it is a call-in show, and we have a number for that. It's going to be a little bit different today. Not too much, but a little. And if you're listening on a different day other than Thursday, you'll find that you can't call in. So today, Thursday, is the only day you can do that. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today is a little bit of Pahrump history. And it has to do with the town of Pahrump. You know, if you just moved here, you're probably confused about the way our government is structured here in Nye County. And I can't say I blame you. I was confused also. But I have learned a lot since having been here since 2002. And I want to share some of that with you today. Now, if you're looking at a video of the show, you can see I'm wearing a hat. And on this hat is a label from a can of peanut butter. And Mr. Peanut is on the hat. And above that label of the peanut can is a sign that says Peanut Gallery. Now, if you were alive in the 50s and the late 40s, you knew who Howdy Doody was, and Buffalo Bob Smith, and Mr. Bluster, and Clarabelle, and Princess Summer, Fall, Winter, Spring. Oh yeah, I know about those things. And it was a live performance. They had young children, usually about 8 to 10, maybe 6 to 8, sitting in a gallery in several levels. I think there were, if I remember right, there were like 3 or 4 different levels. And they could watch the show while it was being broadcast. Actually, some of them would actually be on camera. You could see them. And actually, my first wife was on that show, and she was 12 years old. A little big to be on the show, but there she was. I never saw it, and one of these days I'll have to go back and look and see if I can find the date. But those shows, by the way, are up on YouTube if you want to see what the Howdy Doody show was all about. They're on YouTube. All you have to do is go and do a search for it. So anyway, when I moved here, I really didn't understand how government was structured in Nye County. It was different than any place I had ever lived. And so here's what I learned. First, there was the state of Nevada. And the state of Nevada created all the counties within the state. So if you're a county, you have to come under Nevada state law. And every county had a group of people who would be elected to manage the county, and these were known as county commissioners. And within each county where you had county commissioners, you could have a town board. Now, town boards could either be advisory boards, in which case they would meet but have no authority and would have to get approval from the county at all times, or you had a town board that had the power to make decisions. Anyway, this structure was not exactly clear. So I'm sure when you came here from California or Chicago or wherever else you came from, you expected that if you had people elected to office in your town, that they had authority to do things. And let's say you needed to have the road fixed. So you went down to the town board at a meeting and you said, we need to fix the road in front of my house because it's got a pothole. And they would listen to you very politely. They would listen to your neighbors. But maybe that pothole never got fixed. And you got angry. Why wouldn't my town board fix that pothole? Well, most people didn't realize the town had no authority to fix potholes in the roads. The town didn't own the roads. The roads were owned by the county. And as I said in the beginning, the county has the authority to fix the roads because the roads belong to the county. There are no town roads. All roads within Nye County belong to Nye County. Well, now that's not necessarily totally correct, because there are some roads, when you move into an area that's already built up, everyone that built a house or has property in that area in the past has had to dedicate a small portion of the perimeter of the property to create the road. Because at that time, properties did not have roads, and so the property line would go right up to the middle of the road where the other property started. So if you walk out in front of your house, for instance, and you see the middle of the road, and then you come in so many feet, and the person on the other side of the road had to do the same thing, and that's what created the road here. And then the county took it over, and the county would have the responsibility to maintain the roads. So I don't recall ever having a time when I went to a town board meeting and somebody at the town board said to that homeowner or property owner, you really need to talk to Public Works or go to a county commission meeting and discuss that. They listen very politely. Well, one of those times I was at a meeting and a woman was issuing her statement during public comment, and one of the town board members made the comment that he was tired of hearing from the peanut gallery. And the audience was shocked that a town board member would have said something like that to a citizen. I mean, we voted for these folks. So that night I went home and I thought about it, and I thought, maybe we really are the peanut gallery. So I put together some membership slips that said, I'm a member of the peanut gallery. And I took a baseball hat that I had, which I am wearing today if you're watching the video, and I went to the next town board meeting wearing my peanut gallery hat. And when I stood up to speak, I brought it up and I put it on. And then I handed out peanut gallery membership slips to everybody who was there. And I did that for 2 meetings in a row, at which point I had made my point, I guess. We were not the peanut gallery. We were the citizens who voted those people into office, and we didn't expect to be treated like that. So, give me just 1 second here. Sorry about that. A little bit of dead air, but I had to take off my peanut gallery hat because even though I may still be the peanut gallery, people in the peanut gallery may know things that other people don't. And that was the truth then, and it's the truth today. So, what do? The people who attended town board meetings were getting pretty upset with the way the town board was spending money. And one day, there was an uprising at a town board meeting. And a whole group of people, one person went up to the town board and made an announcement that he was conducting a citizen's arrest of the town board for violations of the bylaws and the state law. At which point, a lot of people in the audience moved forward towards where the town board members sat. And if you want to see this, it is up on YouTube. You can find it. And if you can't, you can send me an email and I'll tell you I'll send you the link. But it's a video and it shows what happened. And what happened then was that the person who was the elected sheriff and DA at the time protected the town board from being arrested and allowed them to leave without interference. Technically, they should have been taken to the station and booked, but they were not, which even infuriated the people even more. What that said was the people had no voice in their government. In all my years of being active in politics, since the early 60s, I have never seen this happen. But the people were so incensed at what the town board was doing with the people's money that they voted out the town board. They didn't exist anymore. The town board could no longer make decisions. They had to go back to the county, just like other town boards, to get permission to do things. And that had to do with almost everything. So the county commissioners do have power. And you can go to a county commission meeting, and God knows I've been there for a while. Not recently, because I gave it up. I felt that going to commission meetings was not really the way to get things done. So I encouraged some other people to stop going to commission meetings as well. Actually, the county commissioners now are the ones responsible to run the town. And the roads are run by the Public Works Department, which is run by the county. So if you have a problem with something in the roadway, you should contact Public Works and ask them to take a look at it. Don't contact your county commissioner. They have important things to do, not to be your lackey to go talk to an employee somewhere to see if you can get your pothole fixed or whatever it is. And while I'm on that subject, if you drive Dandelion Road coming northeast on there, just as you pass the park, there's a really bad dip in the road. Now, you know the speed limit there is 45 miles an hour. And many vehicles doing 45 miles an hour, if they hit that dip, you can see all the scrape marks right after the dip because of the way the vehicles are built and the way that dip is built. And there's no reason to have that dip. It's right in the middle of the street. And I have watched a sheriff's car go to the right-hand side of the road in the bicycle path to avoid the dip. I do the same thing. Now, there's a sign there that said, when the light is flashing, the speed limit is 25 miles an hour. I think it may be 35. No, it's 25. And then underneath, and that's nice big letters, the light catches your attention, so you look at the sign. And just below that sign, in a little 4x6 sign, it says, "When children are present." Which means that if there's no kids there and the light's flashing, you can do 45 miles an hour. So that's the speed limit, 45 miles an hour. It would be nice if somebody from Public Works would drive that street and just take a look at that area that I'm talking about. And I'm pretty sure I know what happened. I think when they did some work on the street there, and they had to dig it up and repair the manhole and stuff, I believe that the land was not compacted properly. So as people came across, they did the compacting with their vehicles, and that's how we wound up with this dip. So if you're in Public Works and you're out there, or you know somebody who is in Public Works, go take a look at that. I bet you there's a whole bunch of people, including people who drive the sheriff's cars, would be very grateful for you to fix that little piece for them. Okay, so now we know I would not bother going to my commissioner with a little thing like having something fixed in my road. I would just go to Public Works. I mean, the commissioners pay the people in Public Works to do that job. They have a manager for that department who should be contacted so he can assign whether the work should be done or not. But if you go to the commissioner, and let's say you go to your commissioner and you say, "I want somebody to fix this pothole, and would you go talk to Public Works and see if you can get that fixed?" I think in all fairness to Public Works, you ought to just go there first. And then if you don't get results, then go talk to your commissioner. Or maybe go talk to the county manager. And then go to your commissioner. But commissioners are elected. They don't get paid a lot of money. I mean, all the money that you can get from other sources is one thing, but they're not paid a high salary. So in my way of thinking, that's kind of where you should go. That's the chain of command, so to speak. And I'd be willing to bet dollars to donuts, your dollars, my donuts, that if you went to Public Works, they would send somebody out and probably fix it. Or they could tell you why they couldn't. Okay, so going on from there, the structure of Nye County, when you moved here, and I didn't finish the discussion on structure, when you moved to Pahrump, you saw all these county buildings. We have the county courthouse here, the county sheriff is here, treasurer's office is here, the assessor's office is here, the clerk's office is here. And this has all the trappings of looking like Pahrump is the county seat. And I can tell you there are still people who have moved here today who think Pahrump is the county seat. If you were to ask them, where's the county seat for Nye County, they would say, well, I live here. It's in Pahrump. Not true. The county seat is located in Tonopah, which is 165 miles roughly north of here. That's an interesting story also. Going back to 1905, 1904, even 1902, now that's going back a long ways. Let's go back even further than that, when the state of Nevada was formed in 1865. It was decided there would be 17 counties, and Nye County is the biggest county in Nevada. Actually, we're the third largest in the country. And a little town on the north end of Nye County called Ione was the county seat at that time. And it was the county seat because mining was taking place. And as I understand it, there were like 10,000 people there mining. So they made I owned the county seat. And that lasted for a while. But as mining fell out and the amount of gold that people were getting started to dissipate, Ione's population dropped to very, very low numbers. And so it was decided to move the county seat from Ione to Belmont, which is still up north, but about 60 miles south. And Belmont, the reason they got the county seat was because that was the major portion of the population in Nye County. Its population had grown similar to what Ione had been. So they moved the county seat to Belmont. Now, the way you move a county seat is you had to have a petition of some percentage of the population, and you had to go to the state to get the approval to move the county seat. So Belmont, that's what they did, and then Belmont became the county seat. Well, the same thing happened to Belmont that happened to Ione. The population dropped off for lack of production. Even today, if you were to look at how many people live in Belmont, look at it on the voter list. Maybe you can get a copy of it. Well, maybe next time I'll bring on the voter list and I'll tell you exactly how many. But it's very few. As a matter of fact, I think there's like 10 people living in Belmont. Donna Modis, who used to be one of the county officers elected, I believe, is there. So what happened in 1902 was that Tonopah had grown to the population. It was big. Again, we're talking like 10,000. Hard to imagine, but when you look at the old pictures, you can see how many people actually had been there. And so they went to the state legislature with their petition to move the county seat from Belmont to Tonopah. And it didn't pass, much to the dismay of the people in Tonopah and much to the joy of the people in Belmont. But again, in 1904, they made another attempt. And this time they got the approval. And in 1905, they moved the records from Belmont to Tonopah. And ever since then, since 1905, Tonopah has been the county seat for Nye County. But a strange thing has happened. Well, let me do that. A strange thing happened. Tonopah didn't grow. Matter of fact, the population now is maybe 2,500, maybe 3,000 at the most. I can't tell exactly because we're coming up to a time when they're going to do a new population count, a new survey. So we'll know for sure at that point how many people are actually in Tonopah. But this has become a bit of a problem for us because here in Pahrump, according to the planning department, there are 38,000 people here. Now, I don't think anybody believes we really have 38,000 people in Pahrump these days, although the population is starting to spring back because of more construction. But we went through a hell of a time where there was 11,000 homes and 3,000 of them were vacant. But here's the rub. You think Pahrump, if you think Pahrump is the county seat, then why do we send somebody to Tonopah regularly? I'm going to explain that. State law says, and here again, I would think we should always follow state law. And I want to make that point clear. Because, or whatever laws are passed, we as law-abiding citizens should follow the law. And when we don't, there are penalties. So state law says that the county commissioners, wherever they live, have to meet at least once a month at the county seat. So every month, in the middle of the month, they meet here in Pahrump. But in the beginning of each month, they meet in Tonopah. And that's because state law says they have to. Now, what about the county courthouse? There's an interesting history about county courthouses, and I won't get into that today. But if you wanted to go on the internet and kind of look it up, county courthouses have a very interesting history, and there was a reason for them being there. But as I said, I'm not going to get into that today. So we have one commissioner who normally does not go up to Tonopah for security reasons. But they now have video back and forth so they can see each other. And I guess that kind of accomplishes the intent of the law. But if you're not going to Tonopah, you're not in Tonopah. And if you're not in Tonopah, are you meeting the requirement of the law? I'm going to guess probably not. But that would be a subject for a whole nother day, and maybe we could find some courageous lawyer. I bet there's one out there somewhere. There must be. I mean, in 325 million people in this country, we must be able to find a courageous lawyer somewhere. Could maybe come up and explain that to us? And I think you should know, because it's not just that the county commissioners have to go to Tonopah at least once a month. All the official records have to be kept at the county seat. The sheriff has to have an office in the county seat, the main office, the district attorney, the county assessor, the county recorder, the county clerk. By the way, the county clerk is the clerk of the court. So all the court records and all the history are at the clerk's office in Tonopah. Yeah, they have records here, but as they age, they're sent up to Tonopah. So if you wanted to see a copy of the records, they probably would have to call up there and have the records sent down, which means a little more expense, but there you go. Yeah, you don't know these things until somebody starts telling you how it works, and believe me, it took me a while before I got the hang of it. And there was a time when I started a group here called the Night Gold Seekers. And we had, after the first 2 years of being an organization, we had 130 families in the organization, which meant if you had a family, that was usually just at least 2 people who were members. So you could figure we had a total of really 400 membership in 2 years, which was pretty good. Although we listed it as families, so it was only listed as 130. So anyway, I'm going to go back away from that again now. And I want to go back to this thing with the county. So we had gone to the local recorder's office here in Pahrump. And we wanted to look at some of the maps, the mining claim maps. And you would expect when you went to your government office that they were skilled and knowledgeable in how those maps were structured. And we found out we were giving the county recorder's office a lesson in the way the maps were set up. And then but this happens. I'm not going to fault them for that. We were the first organization here that really were taking a close look as to how everything was set up. And mainly we were interested in the Johnny Mine areas, which is 25 miles north of town. And we were interested in it because we wanted to file a claim for the Gold Seekers Club, which they still have, by the way. You can still go out and prospect for gold 25 miles north of town on a claim or off a claim. You can prospect, but you can't work the ground unless you actually have a claim. And maybe because there's enough people that have always been interested in gold prospecting, we may do a show on gold prospecting one of these days. Nobody wants to go out in the heat of the day. So you don't find many people out there working the ground in the hot summertime. But it's kind of a fun thing to do. It's a family adventure. And you need to know something about dirt, about materials, about water, and about the desert. I mean, it's not just let's go out and find some gold, because I guarantee you when you look at the ground, you ain't going to see it. But it's there. So why am I giving you all of this background? I'm giving you the background because Valley Electric has been around for quite some time, since 1965. And when we get to the second part of the show, I want to talk a bit about Valley Electric from the perspective of government. And one of my focuses is going to be, if government has to follow the law, and you as citizens have to follow the law that's written by the government, does Valley Electric have to follow any law? And you might be surprised at what we know.